Welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing myths that keep your kids in college debt. My guest is Denise Thomas. Denise is a TEDx speaker, international best-selling author, and coach to parents of college-bound teens. Her mission is to flip the student debt statistic in the US, raising her Cracking the Code to Free College strategy. She has spent 7,000 hours of research, which resulted in her proprietary repeatable strategy that got both of her homeschooled teens accepted to every college they applied to. They attended college on 17 scholarships, exceeding $199,000, and graduated college with cash left over. Denise says you can keep your money, send your kids to college on other people's cash. Denise, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Hi, Camille. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I am so grateful to have you on the show. This is a huge thing because we know college debt affects people's lives for years and years and could actually impact their entire lifetime if they're like paying off college and not saving for retirement and things like that. So figuring out how to send our kids to college without having them leave with debt is just a huge gift that we can give to them and so important in setting them up in life. Your story of your kids having scholarship money left over when they graduated sounds very much too good to be true. And it's totally one of those things that you're like, okay, what kind of miracle genius kids does Denise have? Because obviously that doesn't happen every day. Tell us what's up with that. Is it too good to be true? Can we really do this?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that question right off the bat, Camille, because I was on a stage in California just before COVID hit. So it's been a couple of years. And I had gotten off the stage. And as soon as I did, a mom came up to me and said, "Your kids must be geniuses because my kid applied to 40 scholarships and won none."
Oh,
my heart just sank.
yeah.
Because just like the bio that you read, what I said on the stage was pretty much similar. And, I expounded on some of that. But what I failed to say on the stage was that half of the scholarships that my children won did not even ask for GPA or test scores.
Wow.
It's just writing an essay. And sometimes the essay is one paragraph. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the Bible in length. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Scholarships are not that hard to get, but there is a key to understanding what they want. Because most of the time I find that kids are answering the wrong question when they are trying to go for some of these scholarships. And the same is true when it comes to college acceptance. They're not planning ahead for this, and it's not their fault. Yeah. Because we assume that we know what we're supposed to do, because especially if mom and dad went to college, I do find that the majority of people who are waiting until junior or senior year for this, parents did go to college. Mm-hmm. It's the ones that didn't go that have that fear a little earlier, and they're wondering, okay, I need to get on this bandwagon and figure out what we're supposed to do. So they're the ones calling earlier. But we're telling people the wrong things, and we have been for decades. And that's why our kids are in debt.
Wow. Okay, so that's our whole theme for today is those myths that are keeping us into the college debt. What are some of the wrong messages that we're getting? Well, I guess first, let's start with your story, because now I really want to know, how did you even get inspired to figure this out? How did you get your kids into college? And then we'll go back to those myths and talk about what the wrong messages are.
I'm going to go with desperation. I was 100% desperate for my kids. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a family that my dad was the first in his family to go to college. And we saw him graduate. Myself and my siblings, we went to his college graduation.
Yeah.
So that had a great impact on our lives. Every one of us, we have 4 siblings. We all went to college. We grew up hearing when you go to college, not if you go to college.
Right.
And that's how my kids grew up. When you go to college, not if you go to college.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that in both families, no one was talking about how we were going to pay for this.
Yeah.
There
It's
was
kind
no,
of expensive.
yeah, there was no college savings. And it really doesn't matter which decade, it's always been expensive.
Right.
But for us, when we were getting to that point of my kids are about to start high school, something happened that we were totally unexpecting. My husband got laid off from his job.
Oh, wow.
And he had been with this corporation for 15 years. So we had no idea this was coming. It was never on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we chill. What do we do now? Within 3 months, he got another job. Awesome. We could breathe.
Great. Yeah.
Or so we thought.
Uh-oh.
We had just built our dream home, you know, the one you think you're going to retire in.
Yes.
And here we are. And then he gets laid off again.
Oh,
2
God.
layoffs within 3 months.
Wow.
We were obviously not paying attention to what was happening in our industry, nor in the world for that matter. Because, you know, just as in the last few years, there have been world events that have taken place in various forms that have had a personal effect on people's financial lives.
Right.
And sometimes we're just not ready for that. And we were certainly not ready.
Yeah.
Then the stock market crashed.
Yep.
This was the kind of crash where you don't come back from.
Yeah, sure. Things just get wiped out. I knew people, 80% of their retirement savings got wiped out at that time. Yeah, we're talking the 2008, 2009, right in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a cycle. People need to realize these things happen, you know, so you have to kind of prepare for that. And we did not. Mm-hmm. But with this crash, we had not only, let me back up just a bit. Not only had we bought this house, but when he lost the job, I thought, okay, well, we can't keep the house. I'm smart enough to realize this is not a good move. Right. So we put it on the market for sale and we bought another house. Yeah. But when the stock market crashed, Camille, we had 2 houses.
Oh no. Oh gosh.
We had 2 house notes.
Right when all the housing values, everybody was underwater and you had 2 houses. And
nobody's buying.
Brand new houses.
Right.
One new to you and one that you just built. And nobody.
So it was just, and no job.
And no job. Yeah.
I pay the bills every month and I'm seeing the money run out because we're using what was left in the stock market, which was minuscule to begin with.
Right. And
what was left in savings. And literally in less than a year, it was probably months. I'm looking at the numbers going, we can't sustain this. Mm-hmm. And we had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. But this bankruptcy was liquidation. Everything, if you could touch it, had to be sold. Look around your house. What do you own? If you could touch it, it was gone. You know, having a garage sale is one thing, but having strangers walk into your home and make an offer on the pot you're cooking your dinner in, that is a whole different feeling.
Yes.
I literally had to ladle my food into a container and clean out and sell my $200 Magnolite pot for $5.
Oh my gosh.
Everything. But it was even more heartbreaking than that. We had 2 dogs. Because we now had to put the houses up. I mean, they were gone. They were going into foreclosure. Right. We had to move into a small apartment. Right. The 2 dogs had to go. Yeah. So I'll never forget my kids running into the house crying as the dog's new owner drove away with them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There were so many things we were homeschooling our kids at the time.
Okay.
I had a library of more than 500 books that I had built up over the years. Gone. Everything. The kids' toys, Christmas decorations, pots and pans, furniture. If you could name it, if you could touch it, it was gone.
Wow.
A few months after being in our new apartment, I realized, oh my gosh, my daughter's about to start high school. How are we going to pay for college?
Right.
That's only 4 years away. We are starting with nothing. You see, the only thing we were allowed to have left in this bankruptcy was my husband's truck and a lawnmower, so we could mow lawns to put food on the table.
Wow.
I got to work because I knew there had to be a way. My kids were destined from the time they were little. We've been telling them they're going to college.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way of doing this. But in my theory, in my thoughts, I'm thinking about this, realizing, okay, we have no savings because that was wiped out before the bankruptcy.
Sure.
There's no 401k to borrow against.
Right.
There's no house to borrow equity from. Oh, yes, that bankruptcy. That means we can't co-sign for those student loans everybody talks about.
Yeah. Because
see,
kids
Camille,
they don't have any credit, so they can't get
No.
loans. And if the parents are in bankruptcy, you can't co-sign for the loan. So how do we bring this together? Yeah.
They don't tell you about that.
Right.
We hear a lot about college debt and, oh, the college debt crisis and this, that, and the other thing. But what they don't tell you is that your kids can only get a really small amount of their college cost in loans for themselves, by themselves. The rest requires a cosigner. And that cosigner, my dear, is you, the parent.
Yeah.
As a parent, you're in your 40s usually. If you're starting to co-sign for 100,000, 200,000 or more in debt, that significantly impacts your buying power.
Right.
Through your older years.
Right.
But that was taken off the table for us. Wasn't going to be a possibility. So now what do we do? That's when I got to work and started researching. Everybody was telling me, Denise, you're starting too early. Wait till junior year for that.
Oh, gosh.
Because that's what we tell people. We hear it all the time. Wait until junior year to do whatever it has to do with college and scholarships.
Figure it out then. Yeah.
That's when you start. You don't start earlier. That's too early. But one of the first things that I found out in my research is that, yes, the majority of people do have college debt. 70% of college graduates have college debt. But I can do the math. That means 30% are graduating debt-free.
Yes. Yes.
What the heck are they doing that the rest of us don't know about?
Right.
Right.
I love that. Math. 30% are debt-free. How do I be one of those 30%?
And why are we not being told about this?
Right.
Why is that not making the news? And I'm going to be honest with you, the few times you hear about it, the few times that, once or twice a year, a newspaper will single out some inner city child who won all kind of scholarships at all kind of colleges. But again, what they're saying is still not true. They're still lying about what this child accomplished. What they will tell you is that this young lady or this young man was offered a scholarship at 100, 120 schools they applied to. Well, that's awesome. And they tell you they won $1.2 million in scholarships. No, they didn't. They won an average of $30,000, maybe $35,000 in scholarships at each school.
Oh, well, I'm guessing you only get the one from the school you show up to.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You can only choose one school.
Got it. Yeah.
So if you do the math, you'll realize this child who is being offered $30,000 to attend whatever school still has to come up with at least $70,000 or more, depending on the cost of attendance at that school.
Right.
The media is not your friend.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you the percentage, but it's an extraordinarily high percentage. They're lying to you. Their entire purpose is to get you to read papers, to get you to feel a certain way, to react in a certain way. That's how they get papers sold. That's how they get subscriptions.
They're in the business of selling the news. So
Yes.
You better make something that people want to buy and listen to. Makes sense.
They're selling it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not your friend. They're not there to tell you the facts. The facts are what you need to make a decision, the right
Actual
decision for your
information.
family. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So other than that myth of somebody's winning, 1.2 million in scholarships, well, sure, yeah, 30,000 spread across all the schools they applied to in one, but they can still only go do one, so they can only get the 35,000 from that one
Right.
school. What other myths are out there as far as scholarships go that we're just getting tripped up on all the time?
Well, one of the first ones is wait till junior year. And it's unfortunate that even our high school counselors are telling kids that.
Wow.
Now, let's think about this for a moment. High school counselors have kids, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is not to help your kid get to college. Their job is to help your kid graduate from high school.
Right.
Okay. They have a lot of drama they're dealing with, drama in the school, drama that kids are bringing from home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are mostly social workers, more so than high school counselors.
Right.
So if you think about it, and I'm sure that they're not doing this out of any, ill will.
Sure.
It's what they're told. But if they tell you, we give a packet out at junior year, they have cut their work in half. Because now they're not dealing with freshmen and sophomores when it comes to things that have to do with college.
Mm.
Within that same don't wait until junior year, let's talk a little bit about those exams.
Yeah.
ACT and SAT exams.
Yeah.
Again, high school counselors will tell you wait until mid to late junior year to take those exams, because that's when you will have had all the math.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's their explanation.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's very little trigonometry on these exams. The vast majority is algebra 1, a little bit of geometry.
Yeah.
The farther you get away from algebra 1, the worse your math score is likely to be, unless you've been really keeping up with those basics.
Right.
And a lot of kids today in high school have taken algebra 1 in 8th grade, some as early as 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really far from it, right?
Yep.
Here's another ticket. They will tell you it looks bad to take the ACT and SAT exams multiple times. Looks bad to who?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Why? Because you didn't do amazingly on your first one? I would think that it would be a plus if you went back and scored higher another
Well,
time.
here's what they'll tell you. They'll say things like, oh, don't take it more than, 2, maybe 3 times.
Mm.
They think 2 things on this. A, the mantra is, it looks bad. And B, you won't do that much better anyway.
Ah.
They're assuming this is an IQ test. It is not. You can beat these exams. Kids are perfecting these exams every single year. And no, they're not geniuses. They learn the strategies. Yes, there's content involved. You do have to be a decent reader. You do have to have the math skills. But other than that, there's a lot of strategy involved in taking these exams.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back for a moment to it looks bad. About 10% of colleges ask for every exam you ever took.
Mm.
That 10% of colleges, they're not giving merit-based scholarships anyway. So who cares? I'm after the money for my families. I want them to get the big money, and the big money comes with great GPA and great test scores. Another thing that we hear a lot, we know that the PSAT exam is taken in junior year.
Mm.
One of the myths surrounding that exam is, oh, don't worry about that. Nobody wins PSAT. Nobody wins national merit. Okay. Listen very carefully. There are 8,000 first place winners every year in the national merit competition.
Wow.
8,000 first place winners. Or they might say, oh, it's not much money anyway. Okay, here's the deal. The minimum that you will get as a national merit scholar is $2,500. That's $2,500 you did not have in the bank yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Second of all, if you choose your college list wisely, you can get as much as $100,000 because of being a national merit scholar.
Mm.
It all depends on the school you choose.
Mm-hmm.
There are also businesses, corporations that give awards for national merit scholars whose parents work for those companies. But you have to know at least a year or two in advance if your company is one of those companies, because the company itself has their own application that has to be submitted before your child even takes the exam, sometimes 6 months, 8 months before.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many things our families don't know. Now, here's the other thing. For all of these exams, take them early.
Yeah.
No, you're not taking it for the score. A kid taking the ACT or SAT in 7th grade is not going to get even a halfway decent score usually.
Right.
It's not about the score. It's about getting used to the exam, getting used to the exam environment.
Yep.
There was a study done, probably a decade ago on the PSAT exam. And by the way, that does not stand for preliminary or practice SAT. It's the preliminary SAT. It is the qualifying exam for National Merit Scholarship. It's designed for 11th graders, so it's easier than the SAT. If you want to practice the SAT, you take the SAT, not the PSAT for that purpose.
Yeah.
But this particular study showed that students who take the PSAT for practice in both freshman and sophomore years score 15 points higher on average in their junior year when it counts. Getting familiar with these exams, even when you don't have the skills and the knowledge, is key to doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I've heard, you're not going to do better retaking these exams. And let me give you an example. If your child takes an English exam on Friday, gets a C, and their English teacher says, hey, Johnny, want to take that exam again on Monday? Sure. Do you think Johnny's going to play video games all weekend? Or is he going to get off his butt and study?
Right. Probably going to open a book.
Thank you very much. And that's what's important here. I'm going to give you a couple of keys that your families need to take away from these things. Both the ACT and SAT exam have 3 test dates each year where you can order for an extra $30 or so the exam, your kids' answers, and the key. Now you have something for them to study from.
Right.
You know exactly what type of problems they got wrong.
You know what they missed, so you know what to help with. Oh my gosh, that's huge.
It's
That's huge.
tremendous. And if they're taking these exams early enough, you're building your test bank.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning what knowledge they have that's missing. Maybe they didn't learn it in high school yet, or maybe they just forgot about that particular concept.
Mm-hmm.
And certain strategies for taking the exam will tell you whether or not they guessed at the answer or if they really thought legitimately that they knew it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes with all of these things. And I know some families will be saying, oh, but Denise, aren't schools test optional now? Because we've been hearing that for the last year and a half.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Okay. Good. Good to know. Good to know.
Anything marked optional is never optional. Let's start there.
Yes.
Okay. There is no such animal as optional. It is always to your advantage. The kids who are being awarded the higher scholarships are the ones who are turning in these exams. Before COVID, less than 10% of colleges were test optional.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most of these schools are the ones that aren't offering scholarships anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But let's ask the question, why were they test optional? Some people, I'm sure, have heard about the US News and World Report college rankings.
Yep.
They come out with this nice magazine every year.
Yeah.
Sells newspapers, sells magazines.
Sure. Okay.
One of the criteria in this ranking system is average incoming freshman test score. Camille, what students are not turning in the test scores?
Well, the ones that didn't take them.
Or
the ones that didn't get accepted.
The ones who didn't do very well on those exams.
Aha, okay. They're just leaving them out.
They're just not.
So they did it, but they're just go, I didn't do so well, so I won't report it because it was optional.
Exactly.
Got it.
Now, a school who is test optional can't report what they don't have.
Oh, look at that.
So that automatically increases their average incoming freshman test score.
Right.
Many of the criteria that is in rankings are manipulated by the colleges. There's one criteria where they vote for each other.
Oh gosh. I'm sure that's very, equitable and,
Yeah. There's so much I could go into with that, but we won't today.
Okay. Yeah, let's jump to some other myths that are other than the test scores as far as applying and things like that. Because I remember you told me this great story about when I think it was your daughter applied early, and what happened there.
There are some colleges that have kind of an open enrollment system where they have an application and there's boxes at the top that you check as to which semester you're planning to start. Well, we looked online and we noticed this particular university had open enrollment or open applications, and my daughter's test scores and GPA made her at least scholarship worthy. Okay, well, why not? Send in the application.
Sure.
3 days later, we got a phone call from the university. Now, I always ask my families, put the parent phone number on these applications, not the student's phone number.
Ooh, good
because
tip.
think about it, if there's ever a phone call, don't you want to know about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to make sure that your teenager takes action if there's action to be taken, right? Yeah. I mean, they might be in the middle of practice or soccer practice or something Yeah, I'll take care of that. And next thing you know, it's out of their head because they're
Right.
teenagers.
Right. Yeah, the phone call comes that has the big news for them, and they're like, okay, well, I really didn't really like that state right now. So, they say
Exactly.
something.
You just never know. Just don't do that. Put the
Right. So
parent's
smart.
phone number.
Okay, I'm on that.
And I'm really glad that I did, because here is a man calling for my 16-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
So I answer the phone. This is her mother. How may I help you?
Yeah.
He introduces himself, tells me the university he's calling from, and says, we received your daughter's application, but
Mhm.
did not receive the application fee.
Oh,
And we'd like to offer her tuition, fees, room, board, and books, but we need the fee to process the scholarship.
wow.
Now, I'm not getting excited yet,
Sure.
because in my head, I'm thinking he made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mentioned, you do know that she's a junior. Yes, ma'am. We'll wait for her.
Oh my gosh.
There was something in this application that had the college sit up and take notice, enough to actually make a phone call to ensure that they got that $50 fee or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
We heard comments like that at many of the colleges my daughter applied to. And so we did a little sleuthing to figure out what exactly is going on. What did we do right here?
Hmm.
Because I have my son coming up 5 years later. Let's see if we can do this again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Think about what colleges are looking for. They're looking for three things mostly. Will you pass and graduate? In general, your GPA and test scores, your course rigor in high school kind of gives them that idea.
Right.
How do you fit into the campus community, and what kind of impact will you make?
Hmm.
What kind of an alumni will you be? How will you, as an adult, your adult life, reflect back on your alma mater? Now, some of this is kind of gleaned under the words of what you've written down.
Hmm.
But you have to figure out, what is it that they're looking for? They're looking for, who is your teen?
Hmm.
Who are they? What makes them tick? How do they think? What are their values and their character traits? Back when I was in college, colleges were looking for what we now call the jack of all trades. You had to dabble in a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
And many parents still believe that to be true. Again, another myth. Today, colleges are looking for focus, passion. What is that one thing that really floats your boat? What puts that gleam in your eye, right? I know when my son was growing up, he spent a lot of time on computers, playing video games, etc., like the vast majority of kids.
Yeah.
But I still remember one evening we were watching something on television.
Hmm.
It was a replay or a live performance or something from some opera house in London or whatever, and it was the Phantom of the Opera. My son never picked up his phone or his computer during the entire show.
Wow.
He was mesmerized by the entire thing.
Yeah.
As parents, our job is to pay attention.
Hmm.
And I know that sounds weird. Of course, I pay attention to my kids, Denise. No, I'm sorry, we're not. We have our lives. We cook, we clean, we go to work, we send our kids to school, we answer the phone, we do the laundry, run errands, take kids to the doctor. We're busy.
Right.
We're not paying attention. Our kids have their activities. Okay, you drop them off, you pick them up, no big deal.
Hmm.
But your job as a parent is to pay attention. Pay attention to what floats their boat. Pay attention when something is going on, whatever it might be, they just got back from activity, how'd it go? Let them talk.
Yes.
Don't be the parent that accepts the word, it was great, and they get in their room and they close the door.
Mm-hmm.
You need information. Sit
Mm-hmm.
down, have some milk, have some cookies, let's bake a cake together, whatever.
Yeah.
Get them talking. And here's why. Number one, if something did, quote, go wrong, something that maybe their interaction with somebody wasn't a healthy interaction, whatever it might be,
right.
Your job as a parent is to help them come to terms with it and deal with it, but also to figure out what could they have done differently if a situation like this arises again.
Sure. Yeah.
Ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
In decisions that they make. Most of the time, a decision that a high school kid makes is not going to affect their lives.
Mm-hmm.
But ask why. Help them to figure out their own decision-making process.
Yeah.
Why did they choose that toy over that toy, or that video game over that one? What made this one worth spending the extra money on, or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And you tell your kid, there is no right or wrong answer. I just want to hear your thought process. How did you come to that conclusion?
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing here is you are teaching critical thinking skills, which they will need when they leave the nest.
Forever and ever.
We kind of have a shortage of that.
Yes, there is a definite lack of critical thinking. I would agree with you.
So we need to teach that to our kids. But here's the other thing. As a parent, you're watching for what might become their career choice.
Right.
You're watching for what might become their college essays or scholarship essays.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the topic doesn't necessarily have to be something that occurred yesterday or even in senior year, or actually not necessarily something that occurred during high school.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I have a young man who was in martial arts most of his life. His college and scholarship essay had to do with a moment in time at a martial arts tournament. He had just received his black belt and he was in a national tournament. And prior to this national tournament, any other tournament he had always gone to, he always came home with some medal or trophy for something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking forward to this as a new black belt. It was a big deal. He's moved up in the ranks. It's what every martial artist aspires to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a biggie.
Yeah.
In all of the matches, he didn't win, not even third place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he finds himself sitting in the bleachers, assessing, what did he do wrong? And he realized that a black belt is not what you do or that belt around your waist. It's who you are. Oh my goodness. This essay won $87,000 in total. And I say that because it was his college application essay. It was an essay that he reworked and revamped for different other private scholarships. But think about it. You have a student who realizes that obstacles are not obstacles at all. They're challenges to be overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Any college wants to know that you're not going to quit. There are kids that drop out of college.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's economic. Sometimes it was too hard. Sometimes they just, well, maybe this isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
But they've already spent the money.
Right.
And they probably got to pay it back. Like I said, most of them have debt.
Yeah.
What employer doesn't want an employee who is going to, I'm dadgummit, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And make it work.
Right.
And that's what this young man did. In the concluding of the essay, he realized he needed to work harder. He needed to begin to figure out how to enjoy those grueling workouts. He went to extra sessions to learn more, to hone in on the basic skills, etc. He began teaching the younger kids. Now, we all know that any kind of tutoring, you learn the subject matter better when you're teaching others.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot that went into this essay. And it, as the typical college essay is, it was less than 650 words.
Wow.
But you've got to get it all in there, right?
You do.
And you've got to tell them what you want to tell them. There's so much our families are missing in this process that they're not being told or that they believe to be true. And you started at the very beginning, Camille, with the belief that, oh, your kids must be geniuses.
Yeah.
Another belief is that you have to be a genius to win scholarships. The average scholarship winner, the average private scholarship winner, has a 2.4 to a 2.6 GPA.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
So think about it.
I think we just gave a lot of people some hope.
A lot of families are not even bothering to apply. I looked at a survey recently, and I love this poll that was taken, asked questions like, okay, so if you've got a child who graduated from high school or is in high school, have they applied for scholarships? Have they won scholarships, etc.? And if you look at the different categories, there was one category that said have not applied for any scholarships. Well, I looked at that one and I said, well, okay, so, and it was like 17% haven't even bothered applying. I said, the question is, if people are applying and they are winning, because again, these were questions. Did you apply? Did you win? Why is there even a category with people in it that say we didn't even bother applying?
Yeah.
And so we asked that next question. Why did you not apply? For some, they think, oh, my kids aren't old enough yet. Everything I've seen, it's, for older kids. Okay, listen up. College scholarships begin in kindergarten. There is no such thing as too young.
If you have a kid, they could be looking for scholarships.
They should be looking for scholarships. You should be building that scholarship college money bank right now, that piggy bank.
Yeah.
Right? And especially if you look at our economy, you need to start hedging your bets on these things.
Absolutely.
So let's do this. Let's do this the right way. Let's do it earlier than later. Now, there are families that will wait until senior year because that's what they've been told. There are families that have kids already in college. Well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
There's still money out there. There's scholarship money all the way through medical school, veterinary school, law school.
Right.
The money is out there.
Yeah. So even if we haven't planned ahead, kids in high school, kids already in college, still try.
There's still money out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure out, learn what it takes to make this work for your child. Yeah. When this mom had told me that her kid applied to 40 scholarships and won none, she did two things wrong. Either she applied to the wrong scholarships, or she didn't know how to win them.
And that's the key. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Find the right ones and have a strategy going in on how you're going to win them. I love that. This has been so amazing. Such wonderful information from you. Thank you so much. What are you most excited about right now? Like what's going on in your world?
Well, I've been enjoying teaching at different homeschool conferences and legacy and financial conferences. I love helping families. This is such a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But what I have right now is a mobile app. I've got a new app for families, for parents, called Get Ahead of the Class.
Love it.
And it has videos and articles and tips and all kinds of things. Just it's to help you get started on getting this working for your kids at all ages.
Perfect. I think that's wonderful. So get ahead of the class. You told me it's on Apple, so iPhones, it's on Androids. You just go in the app store there and download it. And then we can also go to your website, right? So
Absolutely.
getaheadoftheclass.com. No spaces, just get
No
ahead of the class.
spaces. Getaheadoftheclass.com. And there's a link at the very top where you can download the app as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been really wonderful information. Thank you as well to all of our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. I'm a business optimization coach, financial educator, author, and speaker. You can contact me and find out what I'm up to through my website, CamilleDiaz.com, and follow me on social media at Cam Unfiltered. Be sure to follow MoneyHeart at MoneyHeart Show. Our website is moneyheartshow.com. Denise has a wonderful money mantra for us today. So go ahead, Denise, share that money mantra.
College doesn't have to be a debt sentence.
It certainly does not. We can do this, especially starting early or starting where you are and doing a little bit of research and putting a little bit of effort into those essays. Find the right thing and send it in. Love this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Camille.